All right. So, welcome again today to the show, Life Matters Conversations. And I have a special guest here today. Oh my God, another trailblazer, a gem that you rarely find around that often.
Mhm.
And her name is Randi Hausmann. And I met her about 20 years ago in a training, and I've been following her ever since. And we only spoke maybe another 10 or so years ago by phone, but I've been tracking her and following her and looking at what she's doing and checking out her posts. And uh, it's just really wonderful work that she does. And I really identify, and she does much of the things that I also bring into the world. Very, very inspiring. Uh, and specifically, you can't go wrong when you read something such as Heaven on Earth Mentoring, which she has on her profile. And that's like, okay, I'd love to have her on my show and check out what she's been doing. And I'm going to leave it up to her to introduce herself a little more and the things that she's doing. And we're just going to have this conversation and see where it takes us. So thank you very much, Randy.
Thank you so much, Robert, for having me. Such a pleasure to be here with you. You've been one of my first teachers that I ever had in my life. I was like in my early 20s when we met, and I was like in the middle of my darkest night of the soul. And you were one of the people who really saw me, who really saw through this. And still, I'm very grateful for this. So thank you so much for your presence in that during that time that was really hard for me.
Hmm.
Mm.
Oh, amazing. You're mentioning the dark night of the soul,
Yeah.
right? I believe we all go through that, right?
hmm
Could you tell us a little more what was going on with you then?
Well, when we met, I was like in my early 20s, and when I was 21, it started when I was 21, when my grandma died. And then I fell into a deep crisis, and I was approximately for 7 years, I was experiencing very much fear and panic, and also I was suicidal for a long time. And during that time, we met. So it was very dark inside of me, but still, there were people who were like, yeah, like you, for example, who saw through this, who saw the potential, because, the the intensity of the darkness equals the magnitude of the light that wants to be revealed. And every time I talk to somebody who is like really revealing a lot of light, who seems like a sun to me, um, they always tell me that they went through a very dark time in their life, which doesn't mean that you have to suffer to reveal light. But if there is suffering, it is a very wise teacher. And during that time, it was approximately about 7 years. Uh, Now, in a retrospective, I see it like an initiation into the task I have to fulfill here, I want to fulfill here. And yeah, this is manifesting heaven on earth, as you said. It's a heaven on earth mentoring, and it's about really manifesting heaven on earth in the body, soul completely embodied here, and heaven on earth manifested in every area of your life by um, yeah, knowing the divine order to recalibrate into divine order. And yeah, that's what I do. And breathwork I also still do, which is a part of it too. So I'm still very loyal to your teaching back then, actually. Still
As
playing some
I,
songs in the integration. So you're still kind of always with me. you know.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Well, so are my teachers,
Yes,
and I'm still very loyal to the way that they taught me
yes.
because I also noticed that there is such an enormous exponential growth on people with people offering breath. But I'm really, reserved and not to make other people wrong, but, you know, have they really mastered the breath or not? I see a 12 module online breathwork certification. It's like, no, in 3 months, you're not going to be certified to do anything. It's really a process of going through the different aspects that have been influencing you in your life.
Yeah,
So,
mhm.
but I'm still very much loyal to the exact way of breathing that I was taught. And of course, I have variations because, meanwhile, just as you probably expanded
Sure,
and included so many other things in your practice.
sure.
Uh, I wanted to just mention when it comes to suffering, it made me think of Gurdjieff
Yeah.
and one of the students of Gurdjieff, Bennett. He says that there is no progress without suffering,
Mhm.
and I believe that to be true. And as you're saying, the magnitude of the light you bring is very much
Mhm.
also dependent on the yeah that dark place that you had to go through. But I actually perceive you as a very angelic being. Do you know that? Have you heard somebody ever tell you this before?
Often, yeah.
Yeah, but it's true because I feel such an immense power that you radiate, uh,
Mm.
as well as the very softness that I see in the woman that you are. So, yeah, speak to me a little bit about your mission because it, yeah, it's really magnifying.
Well, my mission is, yeah, to manifest heaven on earth. And there is a vow that I feel very deeply in my heart to help people find home again. The people who I have a mission for. Not everyone, of course, but people who are really on the way of mastery, to give them guidance, to be like an orientation point. My clients just gave me this Northern Star as a present after our 1 year training, which is very dear to me. This I, to remember what I'm here to do, to really be an orientation point for people, and not that I guide them home, but I give guidance that they can guide them home. It's all about self-mastery, self-guidance, self-healing. I'm not the one who heals. I'm the one who helps people to heal themselves, which is easy when you know the divine order. And for me, it's very much about tuning into divine order, applying divine spiritual laws into your daily life, and not being like, when you talk about angelic being, it is not something which is not in the daily life. It is not something like in the spiritual bubble. We often experience people like meditating themselves into some bliss state. It is about embodying in daily life the spiritual laws, the divine order. What does it mean to love, to really love yourself in an average day? How do you act on self-love? For example, if somebody is, stepping over your borders, or if you have unpleasant feelings, how does this show up in your daily life that you really love yourself, and not as we see it often in the spiritual circles, you have like a weekend and then this is full of bliss and love. And then you go back into your daily life and everything's just, same patterns
Exactly.
come in
And
and,
exactly.
yeah.
And then what?
And then what?
Right?
Next
Yeah.
weekend, where I can experience some bliss in some group meditations or so. So this is not something I'm looking for. I'm really looking for deep transformation that shows up in every day. life, very practical actually, like grounding the spiritual laws, spiritual, divine order into daily life. So it
Right.
is very grounded what I teach. It
Yeah.
is a combination of high wisdom and deep grounding.
It's actually a spiritual truth
Yeah.
because, but then to get there, to have such an immense level of faith that you trust that there is a higher intelligence
Mhm.
that is always at play. We cannot corrupt nature.
No.
You know, we can try, right? But nature will always repair itself. I'm absolutely convinced.
Mhm.
And to trust that is is quite an adventure, I would say. But it is about bringing into practice everything that you teach, because otherwise, well, we could continue talking about it on end, but it's not going to change anything. So
Exactly.
many people believe, oh, spirituality, oh, that's really,
Mhm.
woo-woo, it's all the way out
Woo.
there. Oh, it has nothing to do with that at all. It has a practical application.
Exactly.
But
Otherwise, it doesn't. I mean, knowledge, we have so much knowledge. The knowledge is out where everywhere. You go on YouTube, you
right,
get all the knowledge. You can consume as much knowledge as you want. Knowledge doesn't do it. Knowledge doesn't heal anything. You
exactly.
have to bring it into action. Bring the action. And
Yeah,
this is what really manifests heaven on earth because it's an embodiment planet. It's not a, woo-woo planet where we are like floating spirits. It's an embodiment material. It's a planet of matter.
yeah.
It's a paradise in facts, one could say. Figures
I
and
was,
facts.
I'm just very interested to know, uh, yeah, tell me a little bit about your work. I mean, you say you do some, you still apply breath work
Yeah.
or conscious energy breathing.
Mm.
Are you still teaching? Are you giving vocational trainings to helping people become breathwork practitioners?
Yes, I just finished the teaching, but it is more like an add-on because I also train coaches how to coach people, applying the divine order, like the inner order, for example. There is an order of feelings. There is an order of what is the will, what is the free will, how to free the will, what is spirit, what is ego, what is sadness in its pure meaning, what is anger in its pure meaning. Um, I'm training coaches, and many of them also made now the breathwork training because I find it important that when you guide someone through a breathwork session, that you know when feelings come up what their mission is and that they not just scream something out and don't really know what is going on. So it is always about giving help to guide yourself. Like, for example, there is an order of feelings. We have like four main feelings. And for example, sadness. If sadness arises, sadness in its purest form is just its grace. If it is not connected to the story, if it is not bound to pain, if you just experience the feeling of sadness, which has its place in the breast area, if you are how do you say that, hellsichtig, if you can see with your inner eyes, you also see the sadness in the breast area of people. If the vessel is on its right location, if it is located right, sometimes when sadness is repressed, it can also show up somewhere else. But the real place, the real location is in the breast area. And if you really let the sadness arise and come, what it will do, it will bring you awareness from the outside to the inside. It will connect you with your inside in a very intimate way. That's also why when people cry, if it is really pure crying, not combined with some kind of victim story, it is just tears, you immediately feel intimate with this person. You immediately feel close to that person because this person is close to himself or herself. Because sadness in its purest form brings back the connection in the inside where you have been too much on the outside with your focus. So I don't know if you remember when we had the training when I was in my early 20s, I was always crying. I don't know if you remember that. I was always crying. I was like crying every day, every session. I was crying for years. I was crying. I had
Sounds like me.
so much sadness. Yeah. So, and still, sadness is one of my main feelings with which gives me my healing power, because the sadness it is so much grace. And I remember you when we said goodbye from the training. I still remember that you said to me, "Thank you for your grace." It's still resonating in me because this is it. It is grace. If it is really the pure feeling of sadness is grace. And so that's the work to really bend, to make the vessels for the feelings larger, to have the right order inside, to understand yourself, know thyself in the feeling, so that each time when a feeling arises in people, they don't need a coach anymore. They don't need someone to tell them this is this and this is that. They can process themselves because they know what is going on inside of them, which is kind of I know you're a tantric person as well. Me too. It is like going really into the sensation, bringing awareness to the sensation, and knowing yourself in the sensation. So, in sadness, as I just said, is one of my vessel for sadness is very, very big. And this is also a reason why people often, when they meet me, they feel immediately very close to me. You know, they feel like they can open up very naturally. This is because I have a huge vessel of sadness, which connects me with myself, and so the connection with the others is also as intimate. I mean, if they want,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
It's that place of vulnerability,
Yes,
and
exactly.
it's so big,
It's very pure.
which allows other people into that container that you carry.
Exactly.
I always experience truth actually connected with sadness.
Mm-hmm.
My moments of aha,
Ah,
these deep moments of
yes.
recognition
Mhm.
always comes with a level of sadness
Yes. It is
because you're
also just
touched.
the moment just before you arrive home.
Right, right.
It's sadness. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
a
so beautiful.
transition. Hmm.
Yeah, it's so beautiful that you mentioned that because it's so true.
So this is just a little window into my work where I really teach people to know themselves from the inside and to really apply the laws, the spiritual laws, that the spiritual always precedes the physical. Like, for example, maybe we talk about this also, which is, for me, it is very important because we have all this, trauma work, working on ancestral trauma and so on. And this is a confusion of cause and effect because people tend to say, because I have this trauma, because I have experienced certain pain in my childhood or maybe also in the ancestral line, this is the cause for my problems or for my challenges now. Whereas in truth, it's this the trauma is not the cause. It is already the effect. When the soul came, we already had like what the Kabbalists call a soul correction. Like for example, with me, it was the big fear of abandonment. I had such a big fear of abandonment. So, but this program was already
Right.
inside of my soul. So when I came, I chose the perfect parents to awaken this abandonment wound inside of me so that I could heal it out. And I mean, to really heal it out, to really heal this fear of loss, this fear of abandonment, which actually means the fear of abandonment is a perception that I abandon myself for other people. This is the real root of this abandonment issue. So this is I teach people to really get into the truth. And sometimes this is also hard to swallow, and it is not about it is all my fault, but it is all about it is my responsibility.
Right.
It is completely my responsibility what I chose, and that this had to happen because my soul decided to build a vessel for, like for example, for love that is not rooted in fear of abandonment or fear of loss. So this had to be awakened. And then there is nothing like I have to forgive my parents or I have to forgive my ancestors. No, it is not even, you don't have to forgive it. Anything when you are really completely self responsible and saying, you can even thank those people that um, they have
Initiated.
initiated. Exactly. Thank you. Yeah. So
True. Yeah.
essentially, everything is very easy. Divine order is very easy, it's very simple. But sometimes it can be a bit triggering because we are so used to thinking like it's the Kali Yuga, everything is upside down, cause and effect, male, female, everything is like woo, 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 completely confused. So, as a Virgo, I'm here to bring order again, to clean the house. And yeah, so it's a very fun thing to do because I mean the healing, the self-healing that I see in my teachings, in my coachings, it's so tremendous. There are people like you have been to therapy like for 20, 25, 30 years. And then sometimes it's just one true question, one,
Right.
and there is an end
Right.
to the whole story.
Yeah.
Because in many therapies, the point where it is built on, the point of perception that this is a problem is already wrong. It is not based on truth. It is like you built your house on sand.
Right.
And for example, seeing trauma as the cause and your problems now, the effect of the trauma, it is built on sand. It is not true. So therapy cannot work, not to the extent that I want healing to happen. And I mean like real healing. Like it is really done. It is really I can really love my parents. I can really honor them. Like really not just in, some nice words, but really feeling gratitude
Yeah.
because they fulfilled what I wanted them to fulfill.
It,
Even it was really painful at that time. I'm not denying suffering, but it is all about, self responsibility. Yeah.
reconciliation is really important. One of my approach is I like you're actually saying the same thing in a different way, but I need to get people into the right mind,
Mhm.
right thinking.
Yes.
often I don't let people finish their story and they get so angry with me. And
You
I'm like, I
interrupt, I
don't,
know. I interrupt too. We are impossible.
yeah. And then they get all angry, "Yeah, you don't listen to me." And I was like, well, who in your family never listened to you? Yeah, you're just like my dad. It's like, but I'm not gonna, your story is such a big mess and you want to drag me into your mess. We need to get you into the right place because if the place of departure is already wrong, right? Like the sand foundation you're talking about, no, no, no. Then everything you say after that is only trying to affirm what you believe is truly happening, but it's not the truth. So that's an interesting process, but I get them so angry.
I know. I remember that. Well, you're doing that also like in a male expression. I still remember when you were like sitting on somebody, like really physically sitting on somebody. This is not something I do, but maybe I do it more like
Oh,
in
that's
a
that's the
female way. But
shamanic stuff.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's more extreme. Yeah, yeah.
But actually, I learned a lot from you just by observing how you process, how you guide people through their processes. I learned a lot by observing that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, but
Hmm.
amazing. Do you still do live events
What?
in person? Do you still do live in-person
Yeah.
events?
I do. Yes,
Okay,
especially
okay.
breath work. I don't like to do it online. If I have a group, I also do online breath workers when I already know them personally. But I
Right,
don't do
right.
online trainings in breath work. Like in breath work, I really want to see, to feel, to touch, to hear.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I love the immediate in real time responses. That's so, yeah,
exactly.
gratifying when you really can see the shift happening in front of your eyes and how they're melting and they're coming down to the truth,
It
right?
is so
A
beautiful.
complete different from their perception of what they thought the truth was.
Mm.
But that's really magnificent.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
breath work has been really one big love of my life. Um, I started with you in my early 20s, and I learned many other methods and techniques. But at one point, I all let them go again. But breath work is it is still, it is always with me.
So as you're saying that, I'm like, oh, if because I'm still doing a lot of trainings in Germany. So if I have a larger group, I would love to invite you to co-lead some sections.
Oh
Would you
yeah,
like that?
sure.
Would that be fun?
Yeah, that would be fun. Cool. Yeah, let's do that. Let's
I think that would be
reunite.
fun because
Yes.
I really feel that we're in alignment there.
Mm.
And yeah, and I especially like what you're mentioning in that universal understanding,
Mm.
right? Of this higher intelligence, but to bring people to that level of trust, that is a beautiful process.
It is, I feel it like this when you're the coach or if you guide someone, you are the mentor. My task is to like building a bridge. Like I trust in you. I have much
Right,
faith. What was given to me is really a lot of trust and a lot of faith. I have faith for many people together. So when somebody comes to me and he is in a very deep state of suffering or so, what I have is compassion, like real compassion, like seeing through all the suffering and seeing the potential in the suffering, because suffering is always potential, which goes into the wrong direction. It's proportional, as we said in the beginning. If somebody is really suffering, it equals the magnitude of the potential that this person holds. So I trust in this potential. I
right.
focus on this potential no matter what. And also, I interrupt because nobody can tell me anything else. I don't accept that. When I'm working with someone and I see the suffering, I see through the suffering, I see how it goes into the wrong direction, and I see how to bring it into the right direction, like the direction that really serves his purpose. And I believe in the person, even if they don't believe in themselves yet, but eventually they will. So this is
Right.
also some kind of my tasks when I guide people, when I mentor, when I'm in the mentoring, to take on the part of believing in them until they can believe in themselves.
Yeah.
And I think this is very important that you have someone who really believes in you and who really focuses on your potential and on your goals, even if you cannot do it at the moment, but eventually you will. Eventually you will. Everyone will. It will all, yeah.
What we're actually doing is we're planting seeds
Exactly.
where they still don't have the conscious awareness of the possibility,
Hmm.
infinite possibility. We're planting seeds, and often I have people call me up. Oh, you won't believe. I'm like, no, don't ask me if I believe. Do you believe? You know? Because they were like, oh, I can't find the job that I really need. It's like the job you need is already there. So I planted that seed. And then within a couple of months, they call me, oh, you won't believe it. I got that promotion. I was like, yeah, you have to open up your mind
If
of
the
infinite
desire is
possibility.
there, if the desire is there, the fulfillment is already there. It's very simple.
Yeah. That's the beauty of the world we live in, right? In the world of opposites and paradoxes. I mean, for every one thing on this side, there's a balance on the other side.
Yeah.
Uh, if I've finished with a certain study, I had this one woman, she's like, oh, I'll never be able to find a job in my line of study because it's very, very particular kind of study in a particular branch of law. And I was like, well, no, you know, no. The very fact that you've got a degree in this will open up a door for you to,
Yeah.
and it happened. And she called me, oh, you won't believe it. No, no, I do
I
believe
believe
it.
it.
Yeah. But it's wonderful because when people come to us with their baggage, we are not associated with that part of their life, which
No.
is why we can see
True.
the absolute truth coming from something that is untarnished, that is still pristine, that is still alive, that is still there and has always been
Mhm.
and shall ever be. But we went into separation with these parts of ourselves.
And this is true compassion. Sometimes people mix it up, like compassion would be, oh, I know, I understand, you're so suffering, and it's so, yeah, I know it's difficult with this job, or it's difficult with men, or, and this is not compassion. In German, we have this word Mitleid, pity.
Yeah,
And this is,
yeah.
I say
To
yes
suffer
to your
with
victim
Mitleid.
story. This Mitleid. Yeah, I suffer with you. It means I
Yeah,
suffer with you.
yeah. Well, no,
And this
thank
is,
you.
yeah, exactly. I say yes to your illusion somehow. And real compassion is, okay, I see that you suffer, and I also see why you suffer, but I see through this. I see your potential. I see your essence. I see your wholeness. And I will help you to get rid of everything that just doesn't belong to you, because healing is much more about getting rid of things, of emptying yourself, than putting on, adding things. So, yeah,
Beautiful, wonderful. And apart from breathwork, I heard you say that you also do something else.
I train people to become. mentors or coaches, I don't, however they want to call themselves,
Okay, okay,
applying my way of coaching, like bringing this divine order, helping people to know themselves from the divine order that they have inside. Like, for example, as I told you about the feelings. So there is inner order, and we always, life is always unfolding from the inside to the outside. So all we have to focus on is in the inside. We have to embody it in the inside so that the outside can come to us. So
right.
yeah, I'm training people to become coaches, mentors, guides in this
To become
way.
heaven on earth
Yes,
coaches.
yes. And
Yeah,
I really mean it. Like heaven on
yeah,
earth, it's a consciousness. It's Christ consciousness, actually. It's oneness consciousness. It's becoming a sun, a
right.
sun. And the sun is always giving. It is always shining. And why is it always
Beautiful,
giving and shining? Because it is constantly in fusion. It's melting elements together. And that's what we do also in my consciousness school, if you want. We are melting these opposites, like male and female, and all the polarities together, and it's a kind of fusion which creates energy, so that in fact you have more energy than you need. You're creating more energy inside than you need for the outside. So, and this is also about physical immortality, physical rejuvenation. Uh, yeah, that's the way I am on. Yeah, the way of solar consciousness, Christ consciousness, oneness consciousness.
beautiful. Really, really wonderful the work you put out. Are you on LinkedIn?
I think I have a profile there, but I'm not active there.
Okay. But make sure you send me all your information where people can reach you. And
Yeah.
yeah, people will definitely be inspired by this conversation. And I highly recommend them connect with you. Definitely.
Also, I
Wonderful.
already sent many people to you as well to training.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm.
And where are you living at the moment?
Near Hamburg in the north
Okay,
of Germany.
okay.
But my
So
trainings,
on
my
my
coaching
way to
trainings are online.
Dresden,
What?
on the way to Dresden, I could actually drive
Ah, okay. Yes, you
uh,
could.
past you and come and say hello, have
Yeah, yeah.
lunch together or so.
Let's do that. Let's do
That
that.
would be fun.
Yeah.
So for to close off the conversation, is there anything that you could, as a closing statement, give the audience some some of your wisdom or anything that you could leave them with to think about?
Mm. Everything that you desire, everything that you feel in your heart is possible for you because otherwise there wouldn't be the desire. The desire that you feel is written into your soul because the fulfillment is already there. And the fulfillment is bringing you to it by creating the desire. So really trust only in what is written in your heart, what is written in your soul, and not what anybody else would say. Even if 99% of the people say you're crazy or it is delusional or so, don't listen to that. Only listen to what you really desire and be sure that the fulfillment is already there for you. You can, if you have this, like me, if you have this vision of heaven on earth on this planet, it is possible for you to live it in every area of your life.
That's a beautiful way to close the session here. And
Mm.
we could go into a complete new chapter when we talk about desire and heart connection, mind-heart connection, inner coherency. And that's beautiful. And I'm sure we'll have another conversation. That would be wonderful.
Uh,
Just one question, one more question I have for you. Have you written a book?
yes, when I was pregnant, I wrote a book. When I gave birth on my own, let's say, not in a hospital, I had a pregnancy without any doctors or so. In 2011, I wrote that.
What's the title of the book?
The title is Unter meinem Herzen. How do you translate that? Like under my heart? No, it's like more. Hmm, don't know how to translate it. Like you carry the child on
Yeah,
beneath
yeah,
your
yeah.
heart. Can you say that?
That's yeah, it's which is wonderful because there are very specific things in each language, right?
Mm-hmm.
That are just so perfect in that very language
And you
in which you're
cannot
trying to
translate it.
express something. It's almost not translatable,
Yes.
but it's
Also, German is very precise when it also comes to emotions. It is very
yeah,
precise.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. So
So,
yeah,
but I'm going to put all your information in the final
thank
cut
you so much.
and put it on YouTube. I'm going to promote it. I'm going to make shorts, and I really, really wish you a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time and so many blessings. And I would love to connect more and yeah, even see if we can collaborate.
Yeah, let's do that. That'll be really fun. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much,
much.
Robert, for
Thank you,
having me.
Randy.
Thank you.
You're fantastic, really.
Thank you so much.
So much love coming your way.
Mm.
It's good to know you're out there.
It's good to know that who's on your team, you know? It's so
Yeah,
good to know who's on your team.
that's right.
Mm. Take care.
Bye, my dear.
See you.
Bis bald.
Bis bald.